Broly questions who was the warrior he faced on the brink of his madness, and says he can feel him when training against Vegeta, but that something is still missing. Well observed, Broly. Could this be the moment Broly will see Gogeta again? And what will happen from here on? Stay tuned to every detail, because I'm going to reveal why this really needs to happen. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the notification bell. The great Emperor of the universe really wants to test his limits, and such power did not scare him. It only gave him a sense of direction towards something greater. He knows who this warrior is, because he has felt him before in the Super Broly movie. In fact, Gogeta stops him from killing Broly's friends. But anyway, how could Frieza possibly reach Beerus planet? Since no one ever revealed anything to him, that's where he comes in. Broly was, in a way, responsible for all of this, and I'll tell you everything. But between us, with the little information we have about Black Frieza, what would his current limit be? And what would be the only way for him to grow stronger, if not by facing someone worthy? Like Beerus, Gogeta, maybe Gohan, or even Broly. Then you ask me, why not Goku and Vegeta? The truth is, both are at their current peak, but they were no match for Frieza's black form, who finished them off with a single blow. And also Gas, who had been winning against Goku, Vegeta, and Granola, all of them at their maximum power at the time, even agreeing to fight together. Remember earlier when I asked how Vegeta would react to this? With Broly's request to know who was that warrior he fought some time ago in the Super Broly movie, the one who nearly killed him? So let's get into it. We all know that on Beerus planet, the setting was one of constant training, where we always see Goku and Vegeta training, and now they've also brought Broly into their training. Besides, recently before the hiatus, both of them sensed Gohan's devastating power. It's not much different from what he did back in the Resurrection of F movie, where he raised his ki and Goku was able to sense it to teleport. So both feel this power, and Goku goes to get Gohan, aiming to test his current limits. And Broly watches everything from the sidelines. And right there, he learns to control his Berserker Super Saiyan form through the fight between Goku and Gohan, where Gohan shows the process of the limiter that holds him back and how he pushes his strength to the max, almost losing control, but maintains his ki. What refined control, right? Anyway, Goku and Vegeta were in a relentless pursuit of improvement, honing their skills under Whis' watchful eye and Beerus' occasional disdain. Broly, now part of the group, continued developing control over his power. Though once marked by his rage-filled outbursts, he was now showing remarkable progress, channeling his energy more consciously. Living with Goku and Vegeta was changing Broly, who began to see battle as more than just destruction. He wanted to understand the true meaning of strength. All of this, following the manga's return, becomes the only plausible way for Frieza to reach Beerus planet uninvited. By tracking a ki, we can consider that Goku's ki alone wasn't enough to catch Frieza's attention, nor was Gohan Beast's, either because Frieza didn't know what it was, or he was occupied at the time. But now he wants to test himself, and he's more aware of his surroundings. So yes, this would be the right moment for Frieza to make his appearance in the manga, not just show up and disappear like in the Granola arc. And from this, we'll understand more about the plans Frieza has in mind. And I'll say it again, the only way Frieza can evolve even further now would be through epic battles. And I already mentioned above who could currently face him. And now that Broly is calmer in quotes, right guys, I think he wouldn't be a real match for Frieza, not right now. We could say that through Broly, in the midst of these current trainings, and alongside his reflection, he remembered an opponent who marked his memory indelibly. While watching Goku and Vegeta train, he remembered Gogeta. Along with that memory came also the memory of Frieza. The tyrant's memory, with his cruel and destructive smile, was like a ghost. Broly knew he had faced him under extreme conditions, but he also knew something was incomplete about that battle. He had been driven by uncontrolled rage back then. Now, with a more centered mind, he wanted a new clash. That determination began to shape his training. His curiosity wasn't about seeing Frieza again, but about fighting Gogeta. That burned even more into his Saiyan instinct. So he asks Goku and Vegeta to use that thing again. This time he would face him with more control, and wanted to test his limits. We can even say that meanwhile, in the vast space of the universe, Frieza was immersed in his own training. His new form, Black Frieza, was a manifestation of power he could barely believe he had reached. After defeating Gas and humiliating Goku and Vegeta on Planet Cereal, Frieza was more confident than ever. His obsession with surpassing all known power levels led him to strategic isolation, where he refined his skills with terrifying precision. He wasn't satisfied with just being strong. He needed to be the strongest. But only a fusion of such magnitude could actually make Frieza sense the key of where they were. But it wasn't to face them. It seems that doesn't scare him, not this time. So, with a clear request from Broly and a little help from Whis, surely threatening Vegeta to stop training them, Vegeta would definitely give in. And he will. It wouldn't make sense to give Frieza so much power without pushing him to his limit. And this was the opportunity. Frieza would challenge no less than Beerus, the god of destruction, fully risking extinction this time. Frieza couldn't ignore the increase of powerful energies coming from Beerus' planet. Goku, Vegeta, and Broly were emitting such a significant presence that it seemed to challenge the balance of the universe. For Frieza, this was a 1 in a million chance. He would surely smile and say that it wasn't a mistake to have let them live after all. This was definitely part of his plan. First, to discover where Beerus was, and then challenge him in order to become a god of destruction. A possible and coherent theory, right? So he knew that there he would truly reaffirm his superiority. So through Gogeta and Broly's ki while they fought, he found out where they were, and this time he decided to act. When Frieza arrived on Beerus' planet, the atmosphere changed. His presence was overwhelming, a combination of arrogance and absolute power. Frieza wasted no time. He made it clear that he wasn't there to face just anyone who dared challenge him, but Beerus, who he decided would be his opponent. But that would be well after the fight between Broly and Gogeta, which didn't last long. Frieza said he wouldn't waste time with the small power he felt, being as arrogant as ever. And who would be the first to fight? You think it's Goku, right? But no, without any resentment. Just wanting to fight. Who steps forward is none other than Broly. This was the moment he had imagined during his entire training, to face his ghosts and overcome them. The confrontation was brutal. Broly showed how far he had come in controlling himself, but Frieza was no longer the same. His black form was so superior that Broly, despite all his progress, began to be overwhelmed. Frieza, with his usual coldness, exploited every flaw in Broly's defense. He wasn't just fighting to win, he was fighting to humiliate. It was clear that, even with all his strength, Broly was still not on the same level. However, what truly impressed was Broly's resilience. Even after being repeatedly knocked down, he got back up, driven by a fierce determination. This spirit began to catch the attention of Goku and Vegeta, who had been watching up until that point. They knew that Frieza was not someone who would back down unless truly challenged. When Broly was finally incapacitated, Goku and Vegeta stepped in. They were fully aware of Frieza's power level and knew that individually, it would be nearly impossible to face him. Goku activated Ultra Instinct, his most refined and precise technique, while Vegeta embraced his Ultra Ego, a manifestation of brutal and aggressive power. The battle that followed was nothing short of monumental. Frieza was impressed, but not intimidated. He managed to withstand both, showing just how far he had come in his evolution. However, things took an unexpected turn. Frieza revealed his true reason for being there. He wanted to challenge Beerus. For Frieza, defeating a god of destruction was the peak of his ambition. He believed that if he could achieve that victory, he would be recognized as the most powerful entity in the universe. Beerus, initially indifferent, began to show interest. He was used to being untouchable, but Frieza's confidence was intriguing. Goku and Vegeta, realizing the risk, decided they had to give it their all. They performed the fusion, creating Gogeta. The appearance of Gogeta was like an explosion of pure energy. His presence was imposing, a perfect fusion of Goku and Vegeta's qualities. Now here, we could just talk about how the fight went, but we can't describe the fight without addressing the current state of both. Since the Super Broly movie, a lot has happened. So let's review everything, and after that, maybe or maybe not, we'll have a verdict on who could have won, Gogeta or Black Frieza. Comment below your pick. Since the fight against Broly and the canonical creation of Gogeta in his Super Saiyan Blue form, Goku and Vegeta have gone through an intense journey of evolution. The battle with Broly was a turning point. Although Gogeta had shown overwhelming power in facing the legendary warrior, both Goku and Vegeta realized that greater challenges still awaited, and most importantly, that their current level wouldn't be enough to face truly cosmic forces. Broly had pushed them to think beyond traditional transformations. This became the spark that led them to seek improvements that gave each of them an even more unique identity in battle. Goku, with his fighting spirit and insatiable curiosity, focused on mastering Ultra Instinct. This technique, taught by Whis and inspired by how the angels fight, is less of a transformation and more of a state of mind. By adopting absolute calm, Goku is able to react automatically to any threat without interference from conscious thought. Initially, the incomplete Ultra Instinct was something he could only access in extreme situations. However, through disciplined and continuous training with Whis, and even alongside the apprentice angel Beerus, Goku managed to turn Ultra Instinct into something more natural to him. His mastery evolved to the point of integrating it not just as an isolated technique, but as part of his base form, allowing him to use it in battle without needing to reach extreme power peaks. While Goku followed a path of balance and serenity, Vegeta took a completely opposite route. He chose to explore Ultra Ego, a technique that came directly from training with Beerus, the god of destruction. Ultra Ego represents the height of Saiyan pride and destructive power. It allows Vegeta to use the damage he receives as fuel to increase his strength. This approach, risky and often self-destructive, reflects Vegeta's nature. A warrior who thrives in chaos and the intensity of combat, Vegeta didn't just accept his role as a potential destroyer. He fully embraced his identity as a Saiyan, finding strength in the pride of his race and in the determination to overcome any adversity. Their evolution didn't come without sacrifices. The intense training forced them to face their own limitations and rethink strategies. Goku had to learn to moderate his tendency to rely on brute strength, while Vegeta was forced to partially abandon his obsession with always competing directly with Goku. These changes not only made them stronger, but also more effective as allies in combat. Now imagine what happens when these two states of power, seemingly opposite, merge into Gogeta. Fusion has always been a powerful tool, but the union of Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego represents a new level of complexity. Gogeta, by combining these two techniques, becomes the embodiment of the balance between absolute calm and ruthless aggression. On one hand, he can react with the almost divine precision of Ultra Instinct, dodging attacks with grace that defies physics. On the other, he can absorb the impact of powerful blows, turning the damage into raw energy and returning that force with devastating attacks. Thanks to Ultra Ego, the result is an entity that combines the best aspects of Goku and Vegeta, eliminating nearly all the weaknesses they have individually. While Goku may hesitate in moments of doubt, and Vegeta may be driven by impulsiveness, Gogeta at his new peak is cold, calculated, and incredibly powerful. He has total control of the battlefield, adapting instantly to any situation, while maintaining an offensive power that rivals even the gods. The divine power of Ultra Instinct fused with the destructive strength of Ultra Ego creates an entity that transcends any known limit. The battle between Gogeta and Frieza would undoubtedly be of epic proportions. Frieza, with all his power, fought fiercely, but it was evident that Gogeta was on another level. Every movement from Gogeta was calculated, every blow was devastating. Frieza, for the first time in a long time, began to feel something he hadn't since his defeat on Namek: doubt. He realized that even with his black form, there was a limit to his power. So maybe he wasn't at his peak, and perhaps it wasn't yet the time to face Beerus, especially if he couldn't even handle Gogeta. But he was stronger than ever, so the battle dragged on, with no clear winner, because it wasn't the right moment or time. So Whis, intervening, removed Frieza from the battlefield, saying it wasn't the right time. Who knows, maybe Whis has plans too, right? With the fusion undone, Goku and Vegeta reflected on the confrontation. They knew that Frieza was a constant threat, but they also knew that together, they could face any challenge. Broly, on the other hand, learned a valuable lesson. He realized that strength is not just brute power, but also control, strategy, and determination. Beerus, watching everything, showed a rare sign of respect. He recognized that, although they were mortals, Goku, Vegeta, and even Broly were reaching levels that challenged the very rules of the universe. Whis, with his enigmatic smile, commented that this was just the beginning. After all, in the Dragon Ball universe, limits are always being surpassed, and new challenges are always lurking.